welcome back to another episode of Atlas Survival Shelters. Now, it is 2024. Happy New Year's to everybody. But every single year, I like to make a comparison video between me and a company called Rising S Bunkers. Why? Because this is the company that tries to compete with me the most. And all I can say is, I always win, but I want you to see why I win. The craftsmanship of a recent Rising S bunker that I just visited, that the customer actually wants me to try to fix it, or they're gonna just dig it up and throw it away. This is disgusting. I mean, what were these people thinking? What made them think they need to build up the foundation? You know what it is? It looks like they just didn't dig their hole deep enough, and they put a wood form around this thing and threw some concrete in there and said, hey, here's your bunker, give me my money. I mean, that's just what it looks like. Look at these forms and the craftsmanship. The forms aren't even backed up. They're just literally just stuck in the ground. I mean, this company is making America look bad. American craftsmanship is supposed to stand for something, but it don't stand for anything when you see work like this. This is just a flat out embarrassment, not only to my country, but to my industry. So in today's video, I'm gonna show you what is shown on my website as far as side-by-side comparisons, because if you're gonna put your money with somebody to protect your family, you wanna make sure the bunker works. And when you watch this video, you'll see why 100% of people who do their homework and do a fair comparison always choose Atlas and never choose Rising S. So if you get on the compare page on the Atlas Survival Shelter website, the very first subject I cover is a comparison. I show an AutoCAD drawing of an Atlas Survival Shelters next door to a Rising S. Now, to the untrained eye, it just looked like two metal boxes, okay? You couldn't be more wrong. So I'm gonna go over the differences between the Atlas and the Rising S. The heart and soul of every single bunker is the NBC air filtration system. And Atlas has prided itself on using nothing but Swiss-made or Israeli-made air systems. Primarily, we're using the Swiss-made air systems in our bunkers. So in this image right here, I am basically showing you what we are putting inside our bunkers. Rising S historically has always made their own air system out of plastic. This thing doesn't weigh nothing, it doesn't cost anything, it's a square filter, it's poorly made, and the worst thing about it is the motor in it. The motor inside the Atlas Survival Shelter air system is this big giant motor. In comparison, this tiny little motor is all Rising S is gambling your life with to exchange the air inside that bunker at least up to 2 times per hour. I've taken this motor to experts in Switzerland, and they absolutely have said it is impossible that that small motor would work in the size of the bunkers that I'm usually seeing made by Rising S. So enough said right there. That should be enough for you to actually choose nobody but Atlas, but I'm going to continue on, and you're going to be floored when you see some of these comparisons. Welding of the bunkers is very important, otherwise they will leak and flood. So I'm going to show you close up the welding. Our plates, they overlap on the outside. We weld them both inside and out, but anybody who's a welder recognizes that this is an uphill weld, which is the strongest type of weld you can do. But all of our bunkers, doesn't matter which one I go to, that's the same process. Look at these beautiful welds. And now on the corners, we triple pass them. So let me show you what I recently saw when I visited a Rising S bunker. I can't make this stuff up. That's the welding. I don't even see that welded on the inside there. Look at this. There's no welding inside there. There's no welding inside there. There's no weld. There's no weld there. There's no weld. It's welded here. Look at that gap. Look at this. Oh my God, this keeps getting worse. The third thing, the Atlas Survival Shelter air system has a manual crank. If you lose power, you can actually operate it. Matter of fact, a small little girl up to 5 years old can operate the air system, where the plastic system from Rising S has no manual crank. So if you lose power, you're not going to be able to operate it with a crank, okay? Okay, the next item, the overpressure blast valve. So the air's got to come into the bunker. On the Swiss-made air systems, there's what's called a pre-filter with a HEPA filter up there, okay? Ours will catch any smoke or ash that's coming through there, and it has a HEPA filter first. Inside the Ryzen S air system, it's just a valve, okay? You really need to have a pre-filter there to catch the ash and all the impurities that could get into the bunker before it even gets to the system. If you have a Ryzen S bunker and you have one of these plastic air systems, I highly recommend you contact Atlas or somebody and get it swapped out with a Swiss-made or an Israeli-made air system. I actually stock hundreds of them, and I have exchanged many of them on Ryzen S shelters, so if you want to do the same thing, contact me. The next item, the hatches. Our hatches are made out of AR500 steel. Ryzen S has gone through some different hatches. First, they used to make them out of some like thin 1/8 steel, and you could jump up and down on them and they would just bounce. And then they went to an aluminum roofing hatch, okay? This aluminum roofing hatch is neither bulletproof, it's not tornado rated, it's not what you want when you're gonna have an underground nuclear bomb shelter. You want something that can resist shock and resist bullets, okay? And Atlas has that, and Ryzen S is not putting them on any of the bunkers that I've seen. Not saying that they can't do it, I just haven't ever seen them do it. Next item, our bunkers are lockable. So on our hatches, we protect the lock with this metal housing right here, where the lock on the Ryzen S hatch is just left in the open. So somebody with bolt cutters could just snip it right off. Atlas has underfloor storage with built-in water tanks. The Ryzen S bunker, I've never seen one with underfloor storage, and I've never seen one with built-in water tanks. So if you have a bunker and you don't have underfloor storage and you have the low ceilings like they have in a Ryzen S, which are usually 7 feet tall, all that's going to happen is all the food's going to pile up in there and it's going to feel so claustrophobic. We're in the Atlas survival shelter, 8-foot ceilings, underfloor storage, built-in water tanks. All our features are fantastic and they're needed for long-term survival. Stairs. The stairs in an Atlas survival shelter, they're 3 feet wide. They're at a lower grade for older people, can go up and down them. Where every one of the Ryzen S shelters I have been to, the stairs were very steep. The bunkers are not very deep, so the stairs are not very long. But when you look up the stairs to an Atlas survival shelter, it looks like it's a mile up there. And it is a long ways up there because Atlas is burying its bunkers deeper than Ryzen S. But like I said, anybody could match our quality if they chose to do it. Ryzen S Shelters has just chosen not to match the quality of Atlas survival shelters. The air pipes where the air comes through. Ours are 6-inch diameter and they're hot dip galvanized. The air pipes in the Ryzen S bunker, they're made of PVC plastic. They're 4 inches in diameter. Just so you know, a 6-inch diameter air pipe brings in over 2 times the amount of air that would come in through a 4-inch plastic pipe. So what's gonna happen when this 4-inch plastic PVC pipe dries out, gets brittle, or is broken by a 4-wheeler or is burned up in a fire? Well, you're gonna be kind of screwed. Atlas survival shelters doors are these gas tight doors. If your bunker is not airtight, the air system will not work properly. Now, I have gone back to so many of these Ryzen S bunkers, and as you can see right here, you see the daylight around that door? That means it is not gas tight. So Ryzen S just makes these metal doors, which I guess they consider them for security, but the doors need to be gas tight. Just ask the Israelis, ask the Swiss, ask anybody. Every bunker I make is built above and beyond Israeli standards and Swiss standards. The Atlas survival shelter interiors are beautiful. Our interiors feel like your home. If you're gonna be stuck in this bomb shelter for a long time and you have the income, it doesn't cost hardly any extra to make the bunker feel livable. Where the Ryzen S shelter, almost every one I've been into, had metal floors, low ceilings, metal bunk beds, and it really felt like a prison or a county jail. Doesn't mean it won't work if it feels like that. It's just, you don't want to be in the bunker too long when it feels like that, where when you're in one of the Atlas shelters, I got people who are living in my bunkers because they're so nice. Sandblasting. To date, Atlas sandblasts everything that we paint. We sandblast the interior, we sandblast the exterior, we sandblast everything, and what we don't sandblast, we get hot dip galvanized. I have yet to ever see Ryzen S bunkers sandblast anything or heard of them sandblasting anything. They're just putting a coating over the steel. Atlas bomb shelters almost always, unless it's being built for a wine cell or something, we put a 90-degree turn on our staircase. So when you go down the stairs into your bunker, at the bottom, you're going to turn left or right, a 90-degree turn. What that does, that attenuates gamma radiation. Imagine this, if somebody was shooting at you, would you stand in the line of fire? Would you get behind the corner of a wall made of concrete? You would get behind the corner of a wall, of course, because the gamma radiation shoots like a straight line. So you want to have those turns, and Atlas Survival Shelters incorporates 90-degree turns in all our certified nuclear bomb shelters. Tamper-proof air pipes. One of the things that we have patented here at Atlas Survival Shelters is our air pipes. We have an air pipe system that deals with condensation building up, and if you compare it to what Rise and S does, they just have this plastic air pipe that turns and goes straight down into the bunker, and sometimes they're only, 2 feet straight down to the bunker, where we have like a 40-foot long air pipe to help deal with the condensation. It also helps to make it tamper-proof, so if somebody wanted to come up there and pour gas into your air pipes and try to get you out of there, it would go straight to the ground because we have a check valve at the bottom. I've never seen Rise and S do that. 42 years is how long I've been a steel manufacturer. Compared to the owner of Rise and S Bunkers, last I heard, he has only 14 years experience, and quite a few bad ones at that. Looking down the hatch, wow, look at that. Our hatch is made out of AR 500 steel. It's large, it's 36 by 80 opening, and then when you look over here at the Rise and S hatch, it's like 36 by 60. It's made out of, like I said, thin steel or a roofing hatch. I just don't like it. I don't approve of it. And then when you look here at the next item, the hinges. Our hinges are concealed in concrete. They have a protective box. And when you look at the Rise and S hinges, look at that. They're just out in the open. Anybody could just grind them off and open the hatch. So when you close our hatch, we have this heavy duty hatch. We have 2 hasps on there. So when you close your hatch, you can lock it down. Versus when you look at the Rise and S hatch, it's just like a little tornado shelter thing. You turn a lever and it's 2 little thin pins. Everything that I've noticed on the Rise and S shelter just seems to be lightweight and low quality in my opinion. Every single modular shelter that Atlas makes sits on a concrete pad versus Rise and S just sets them on the dirt. The reason I put them on a concrete pad is you're going to build a house on top of it. If the bunker settles in the dirt, it's going to crack the foundation to the house. I don't know why they're not doing that, but I have yet to see them do it. And of course, I've seen videos of before and afters, and they're all just sitting on the dirt. This is just an image of our bunker versus theirs. Here's ours completely installed in the ground. You can see the stairs, the mudroom, and escape tunnel. Beautiful hole sitting on a concrete pad. And there's their bunker. That's that same one I talked about earlier. The lady refuses to let them put it in the ground. She wants her money back. They won't give her a refund. So we're going to give her a new bunker. We use a 5-inch structural channel for our wall supports with a 4-inch horizontal. They use a 3-inch square tubing with a 3-inch channel that's put in upside down, which I don't understand because that's going to collect water, but that's just how they do it. So as you can tell, I changed locations. I came back down to the Fat Boy because it was getting hot outside. This is very important. The roof and the floor of the Atlas Survival Shelters is using a heavy structural I-beam. 8 inches on the roof, 4 inches under the floor. When you jump over and take a look at what Rise and S is using, they're using a 3 by 6 rectangle tubing that's 1/8 thick. I personally find it inadequate. I don't know the engineer who told them to do this. Maybe it works for a tornado shelter, but absolutely I would not bury a bunker deep underground with this kind of material. I've even had a hard time at times getting the engineer stamp on my bunker with my big channels. There's no way I feel that they could get a structural stamp for a deep underground doomsday bunker using these materials. But as I said, these materials are very inexpensive. They're light, but they continue to make them with the same materials today that they were doing years ago. I've made several of these videos, and Rise and S has yet to make really any critical changes to their design from today compared to years ago when I started. The steel thickness. Now, as I've claimed, our walls are at least 1/4 inch thick. This caliper right here shows it 0.29. That is over 1/4 inch thick. I took a caliper and I actually measured the thickness of the walls at the Rise and S bunker that was at this lady's job site. And as you can tell, the sidewalls measured at 0.19. That is 3/16 of an inch. So the Atlas Survival Shelter walls is definitely a thicker material. Doesn't mean they can't change it, but as I was telling you earlier, They used to say they were made a 1/4 inch on their website. When I did a video talking about how they cheated this lady, they took it off their website, so it doesn't even say 1/4 inch no more. Kind of dirty, isn't it? The next item, wall strength is very important. You have a lateral load on the wall. We are using an engineered 5-inch structural channel on our sidewalls. It's very strong, and it's on a 2 foot by 2 foot square grid. If you jump over and look at the Rise and S bunker, they're using a 3-inch by light gauge, the lightest gauge 1-inch wall, 3-inch square tubing with a 3-inch channel flipped upside down on a 30 by 30 grid, where we're at a 2 foot by 2 foot grid. Our walls are so much stronger, it's not even a fair contest. Ceiling height is very important to people in a bunker. In the bunker I'm in right now, I have 10-foot ceilings. Our standard bunker has 8-foot ceilings. This is as common throughout all the Atlas survival shelters. But the Rise and S shelters, every single one I have been into, had 7-foot tall ceilings. And when you're a guy like me, 6'3" tall, it feels very claustrophobic. I can just put my hand on top of my head like this and touch the wall. And I've shown it in several videos. I don't know why they do it, but it's less expensive, and I guess it's easier to make it that way. But I don't understand why it doesn't cost much more to make them 8 foot tall. Thumbs up for Atlas Survival Shelters, and thumbs down for Rise and S, because they lost again in this battle of 2024 in a side-by-side comparison. Guys, if you're looking for a bomb shelter, just remember, nobody makes a better bomb shelter than Atlas Survival Shelters. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.